Okay, in this video I'll be stripping a deck here. This is a 6-year-old pressure treated deck, and it's been stained twice with a latex stain, and as you can see, it has failed. There's a bunch of bare areas, and the paint has started to lift and peel. There's mold and mildew over here in the corner. There's a lot of mold and mildew and areas that are black now from where like a plant was. I can't really say why this coating did fail. There's a number of reasons why. Wood isn't exactly the best type of material to have on a horizontal surface outdoors, but if you can't afford the Trex or the AZAC, then this is the way to go. Or if we've had a bad winter and there's a lot of snow and ice that has sat on top of it, it could have pulled up the coating, or shovels that get torn across it. And a lot of times when the wood is new, there's this stuff called a mill glaze that's on brand new wood, and unless you get rid of that, the sealer or the paint that you try to put on top of it won't soak into the surface. It merely sits on the surface, and it can never do its job, and it never gets into the wood, and it's so easily removed. So this is definitely a technique that you may want to go with if you're unhappy with the surface or the looks of your deck. Because if you just paint directly right over this, then there's all the other areas that are going to continue to fail in the future that'll lift up underneath your new coating. So the best thing to do is just to get rid of as much of it as possible. And the tools and materials that I'm going to be using for the job are right over here. First, we're going to use the stain remover. It has a acid in it, and what it does is you put it on and you let it sit on the surface for 15 to 30 minutes, and what that does is it softens up the old coal coating so that you can just either take it off with a brush. I'm going to use the pressure washer, but again, it's very powerful, and it has a acid in it. And then after that, we're going to use the wood brightener, and that's a chemical that is used directly after the remover, and what that does is it brightens the wood back up, because the remover does have a acid in it, and what that does is it neutralizes that acid and returns the wood to the bright color and not the grayed color. And the wood brightener is also good for decks that have grayed out from like the UV rays from the sun. You would want to use the brightener on that. Then I have my pressure washer here, and you want to stay like 9 inches away. I have my yellow narrow tip on it. And once again, when you use the pressure washer, you really want to know what you're doing. You have to move in a fast sweep so that this will soften up the surface of the wood, and it raises the grains a little bit. So what you have to do afterwards, after it dries, is sand it down. But this is definitely the best way to remove the coating the fastest. And then we're going to give the deck 2 to 3 days to dry, and then I'm going to use my two sanders here. This is a multi-purpose sander. It's great to get into corners or crevices or in between the spindles. It has a rectangular shape here. And then I have my random orbit here. This is unlike a random orbit. It has 2 pads here, one on the outside, one on the inside. There's a space in between here, and they oscillate independent of one another. Therefore, it cancels out the vibrations caused by each of the discs, which in turn saves your elbow a lot of the vibrations. So once again, this is the best method if you're unhappy with the appearance of your deck and you really just want to get a lot of the old coating up and off. Okay, we're going to start first by testing out the stripper on the piece of wood here. So we'll put it on, and then we'll let this sit for 15 to 30 minutes, and then come back and check before we start to spray down the chemicals, what we want to do is wet the surrounding flowers or plants that you have around, and the siding too, because remember, the acid, the stripper does have acid in it, so you definitely want to keep stuff wet. And it also helps to do it on a rainy day, like today, where everything is already wet, so that definitely helps. So we'll just start by wetting down the flowers and the siding.